will add value to his or her life. So that is the objective. What does it take for this objective to flow from your organization to the customer? It may take one or it may take more defined inputs and provide a very cognitive defined output. If service is your goal, what you do towards it is the process. You want to provide a service to your customer, that is your goal. How do you do it? Through a process. Now, it is also important to understand that the user, who is predominantly the beneficiary of the service, is not interested in the process. He or she cares only about the service or the goal, and the goal will be an organization goal. The process is entirely intrinsic to the organization and the user or the customer has. A process, however, has 4 characteristic features. It responds to specific events. The results are delivered to customers, and results are predefined, and of course they have to be measurable. A process is meaningful only if it meets these 4 goals. So how is all of it tied to business outcomes? Again, encapsulating service management, the basics of service management. You have a service, the customer sees value in it. All the customer is concerned about is what he gets as a service. Of course, for a business to provide this service, there are processes that need to be followed, and the process needs to respond to specific events. They have to be delivered to customers. They have to be predefined. The company or the organization should have a very good idea of what services need to be provided to what customer, and this needs to be predefined, this needs to be documented, and of course it has to be measured at some point of time. A successful process is one that meets these 4 goals. The ultimate goal, of course, is to make sure that the customer perceives your service as valuable to his or her. Having understood what service and the process mean, let's put these 2 things together and understand what service management means. ITIL defines service management as a set of specialized organizational capabilities for providing value to customers in the form of services. Very simply put, it is a set of processes that provide a service. Service management, in other words, deals with the process of providing a set of processes as services. So then, what is the need for service management? It is extremely important for a service organization to ensure that IT service quality keeps improving. And the simple reason for this is the fact that user expectations evolve, and for companies of any size, there is constant pressure to provide a higher quality of service at a lower cost. The second reason, business and technology changes constantly, and these changes affect IT systems and processes. And the third reason, competition forces organizations to push service standards. Essentially, what this means is there is a strong need to document and have a strategy around service management, because customers constantly keep evolving, their expectations change, they are exposed to a lot of new services and products from the ecosystem, hence their expectations keep changing, and the service quality of an organization, of your organization, should always make sure that these new expectations are met. Parallelly, technology keeps evolving, business needs keep changing, and all of these factors affect service management. The third reason, of course, every business has a USP, but obviously there are other companies and organizations out there that are going after the same customer pool as yours, and it is only a matter of time before somebody else believes that they can provide the same service at reduced costs. So in terms of service management, it is imperative to the organization to ensure that your service management caters to competition as well. Going slightly deeper into service management, let's understand the major stakeholders in this cycle. To take a step back, there is a service that you provide to a customer and you follow a process to deliver the service to the customer. So who are the major touch points? Who are the major stakeholders in the service management life cycle? Of course, there's the all-important customer. There is, however, the user as well. There might be a service provider and a supplier. Let's now understand what the role that each of these folks play. The all-important customer is obviously the recipient of the services that you provide. The user is somebody who uses the services, and the service provider helps you provide the services. It is extremely important to understand here that there is a very fine but distinct difference between a customer and a user. Let's take an example. Your IT organization or any business or organization that you work for might be a customer of a broadband connectivity framework. As far as the provider is concerned, the connectivity provider is concerned, your organization is the customer. However, you are the user. You are an employee of the organization, of the company, and you are the one who is using the broadband interface framework. The company is the customer, you are the user, right? In other words, the customer is the recipient of services, while the user is the actual user of the services. Who is a service provider? The service provider is one who helps you provide the service. Now, service providers are divided into two categories, three categories rather, according to ITIL. There is an internal service provider, an external service provider, and a shared service provider. Pretty simple to figure out. An internal service provider is one who provides services within an organization. An external service provider is one who provides services to external customers, and a shared service provider is someone who provides IT services to more than one business unit, mostly internal. Now, though this might sound slightly confusing, it's very easy to decipher. Suppose there is a department within your organization, say an IT department, right? And the IT department provides connectivity or laptop to its employees, right? So your IT department is the internal service provider who provides the laptop to employees. However, if there's an external service provider who provides the broadband connectivity framework, so here's a service provider who doesn't sit within the organization, is a third party. So the third party becomes an external service provider, and a new sort of service provider that has evolved over the years is a shared service provider who provides IT services to more than one business unit. So in large organizations, there are different countries, different geographies, different departments that a centralized IT team might need to service. So in this scenario, the service provider would be a shared service provider where multiple departments or countries deal with the service provider for this. So now we have spoken about the customer, the user, the service provider, and the supplier. Interestingly, customers are also divided into internal and external. Customers that share the same business are internal customers, while those that have a completely different business are external customers. Very simple to figure out again. Internal customers are customers of your own business within your organization, and external customers are those who are sitting outside your organization and are finally, who's the supplier? The supplier is a third party who supplies the services. Just to recap and ensure that we understand these core concepts very clearly, a customer is a business who buys the internet broadband connectivity framework for you. You are obviously the user. The company that provides the broadband is the service provider, and in case there is a third party involved, that third party becomes a supplier. With the same example of internet broadband connectivity, suppose there is a third vendor who actually comes and installs the fiber optic cable. The cable provider becomes a supplier. That completes the four fundamental stakeholders of service management: customer, the user, the service provider, and in some cases the supplier as well. In order to get the best service, or rather the best results from the service management process, there are specific functions that need to be addressed. These functions can be people or services. In the context of ITIL, a function is defined as an organization that defines a specific process, activity, or a combination of processes and activities. Functions in ITIL include service desk, operation management, technical management, and sometimes application management as well. So what does this mean? There is a service you're providing to a customer. There are different stakeholders like users, customers, suppliers. Various functions. You need to make sure that the relationship between these four stakeholders is extremely tight, is extremely interactive to ensure best results for the organization. The organization obviously has spent money to make sure that the right service reaches the right users using the services of probably a supplier. This cycle needs to be extremely tight, it needs to be extremely efficient, and ITIL prescribes the functions of service management to do exactly this. A function could be a process, an activity, or a combination of a process and activity. We have already understood what a process is. An activity is nothing but a minuscule process within a process which ensures that the process doesn't break. And ITIL prescribes that functions like a service desk, an operations management department, technical management, or application management will ensure that the right functions are in place and are working efficiently towards service management.
Overtime.
A function can obviously be a role or it can be a process, right? So when a function becomes a role, ITIL follows something what it calls the RACI architecture, RACI. The RACI architecture stands for responsible, accountable, consulted and informed. R for responsible, A for accountable, C for consulted and I for informed. At various stages of service management, the RACI stages have been followed, have to be followed, and relevant stakeholders are constantly dependent on the structure to ensure that the organization functions well. Let's take a step back again and understand what a role is before we deep dive into the RACI model. Of course, we now understand what RACI stands for. It is also important to understand the definition of a role. A role, according to ITIL, is an authority given to a person or a group of people to execute activities. A role is something that you need to do day in and day out, and to a great extent, it is a power, an authority that is given to either a person or a group within an organization with the aim of executing an activity. So RACI stands for responsible, accountable, consulted and informed. What do these mean? Responsible, a person or a group of people responsible for getting the job done, getting a particular task done. The responsibility lies with this person, so that person or group is R in the RACI model. A for accountable. For every task, only one person can be accountable, and that person is tagged as A. For getting a job done, you might need to consult other people. The people who are consulted and whose opinions are usually sought and respected form the consulted bit in the RACI architecture, and informed are people who are kept up to date on the RACI architecture also touches upon the role of various stakeholders within this cycle, within this model, and these stakeholders primarily are process owners, practitioners, and process managers. We will do a deep dive into all of these, but at this point of time, it is extremely important to understand the fine distinction between R, A, C, and I. Suppose you undertake a project, there has to be someone who is responsible for it. Just in case things break, we obviously hope that they don't, but if something breaks, there has to be a particular team or a particular individual who is responsible for the state of affairs, and that person or group is the R in the RACI model. In order to actually perform the real task, the actual task at hand, there's one person who's an expert at doing it, and he or she is accountable. Before starting the project, obviously the organization or the senior management would have consulted a few people whose opinions would have been incorporated in the plan, and simply these are the folks who make up the C. And of course, informed deals more with visibility for an organization. Might be somebody who's fairly senior, or somebody who takes care of the operations bit in an organization, who needs to be informed about any particular job, a project, or a task. Let's now understand this with an example, or rather a typical RACI chart. So there might be a CEO with business executive, a CIO, a business process owner, a chief architect and others. So typically job roles in an organization and activities that the organization undertakes, and how this chart sort of encapsulates which are the job roles that need to be consulted, need to be accountable, need to be informed. A typical chart, let's say if you were to create a framework for defining IT services, the business executive will obviously have been consulted. The CIO is obviously accountable because we are dealing with defining new IT services for the organization. The chief architect should be informed because he or she might be closely linked to the business process owner or the CIO, and the service management should be part of the R. In this case, obviously with such an example, it's the ideal scenario where a framework for defining new IT services has been created and the right persons have been assigned the right raising. The other things in this chart obviously refer to other typical projects that an organization might undertake. Of course, we can go through each of them in detail, but the idea here is to understand a typical RAISE structure within specific projects in an organization. So who are the key stakeholders in the RAISE architecture? We touched upon this point a couple of slides back, but now is the time to take a deep dive. There is a process owner, and the role of the process owner is to define, design, develop and document processes that meet business objectives. In other words, the role of the process owner is to develop and document processes that are aimed at new business objectives of the company. Some of the core duties of a process owner include sponsorship, design, change management, addressing issues during the time of process execution, providing the right resources to support the service lifecycle, tracking the metrics to measure the progress, and being accountable for the process to be fit for purpose. This is what ITIL prescribes to be the role of a process owner. In order to understand this in simple words, a process owner is someone who owns a particular process, a service delivery process, the whole 9 yards of the service delivery process, starting from sponsorship of the process, design of the process, change management that we will learn about in some time, taking care of possible issues during the execution phase, ensuring that the right minds and the right teams are part of the service lifecycle for this particular project, providing the right resources, and of course extremely important from an organization standpoint is to measure the process through effective metrics. All of these are the responsibilities of the process owner in the service management lifecycle. So now let's understand who the key stakeholders are as part of the RAISE architecture. There is the all-important process owner whose job is to design, develop, document processes that meet business objectives. The duties of the process owner include sponsorship, design, change management, addressing issues at the time of process execution. The role is also to provide resources to support the entire service lifecycle, track the metrics to measure the process, and being accountable for the process to be fit for purpose. So what this essentially means is this. There is a process owner, the touch point or the stakeholder who owns the entire process, the process. The job role includes designing, developing and documenting the process. So you provide a set of services to the customer and you follow a process while doing this. The job of the process owner is to be entirely responsible for this process end to end. It is the responsibility of the process owner to design, develop and document the process. And of course, ensure that the process meets business objectives. To break this down, the duties include sponsorship of the process, designing the process, ensuring change management. We will be talking about change management in a little while. The role of the process owner is also to address issues that might pop up during the time of process execution. So the process owner has sponsored a particular process, he has designed the process, change management has been taken care of. But while the actual process execution happens, the sudden issues might pop up and taking care of these issues is also the job of the process owner. The process owner also provides the right resources, which means he or she has to identify, earmark team members who are efficient enough to ensure that the process lifecycle is not affected, the service lifecycle is not affected, and earmarking these resources for particular process is the responsibility of the process owner. Of course, tracking the metrics, measuring the progress is part of the role, and also to be accountable for the entire process to be fit for purpose. Every business has a purpose, and every process has a purpose, and it is the process owner who is responsible